Ready? Chapter 12. Fight. The soldiers in the trees drew their swords as they jumped down upon the mages. Banke saw his fellow officers struggle as he yelled, "Don't waste your time drawing your weapons. Fight with your bodies. Use your hands and empty their veins." He looked up at the soldier jumping down on him. He stopped him in the air as he grabbed his foot and hurled him straight into a tree, taking another jumping soldier with him in the throw. 2 soldiers stood in front of him with their weapons ready to strike as he dove for their legs, draining them in seconds. He rammed right into another 2 soldiers standing on the left. They both went flying through the air in different directions. He heard orders being shouted from Tyr to the officers of Nila's blood army. But why didn't he hear any orders from Atle? Then he saw it. An arrow had pierced the lieutenant general's left side, most likely making one of his lungs collapse. He was trying his best to fight, but it was obvious he was struggling to get air. Banke grabbed the heads of the 2 soldiers charging at him and banged their heads together. Another soldier came running at him. He swung around and kicked the sword right out of the soldier's hand. The soldier looked at Banke in confusion. Another kick from Banke sent the soldier flying right into the sword of the soldier behind him. The other soldier cried out in despair as she saw the man get pierced by her own weapon. Banke took the opportunity as he ran up to the shocked soldier, grabbing her head, letting her blood flow through his veins onto his cloak. She sunk dead to the ground as soon as he let go. A soldier fell onto the ground before him, drained by Tyr, who stood just a meter from him. The 2 officers both looked at each other, and then they looked around. The enemy, they were all dead. All the ruler's soldiers lay dead before them. "All those hurt, come here," Tyr yelled. Several of the officers came up to him. Most of them had arrows in their forearms. They seemed to have tried to protect themselves with their arms when they didn't have enough time to get their shields up. Atle was the one hurt the most. He came up to them and tried to speak, but couldn't really get a single word out. He still had problems breathing. Banke counted his officers. 1 was missing. He looked around. Where was she? He let his eyes wander around the scene of the fallen soldiers, and then he saw her, laying on the ground, face up, with the sword piercing right through her body. He ran over to her. "Lia, are you awake?" She turned her head towards him. "Yes." He pulled out the sword and picked her up. "Control your bleeding. As long as you have it under control, you should be okay until we get to the camp and the doctor can take a good look at your wound." Banke walked back to the others carrying Lia. He turned to Gryme and asked him to carry her. She started muttering, "Not him, he called me fat." Banke looked at her. "And he called me an asshole and an idiot? It doesn't matter. He's a doctor, so he's an excellent choice for this." Gryme looked at her. "Well, don't we fit well together? A professional doctor and a professional victim." He gave her a big grin, while she, on the other hand, looked very displeased with how the situation had played out. Keon looked over at Edda. Her cloak wasn't covered in dried blood, like so many of the other mages. "Do you not use your powers to drain others?" he asked her. "Echoing something I told you before, all humans deserve respect, even your enemies. Smearing myself in their blood is not a respectful gesture to me, so no, I don't have, nor will I ever use my powers to drain the blood of another human being. Becoming a mage to me was to become a stronger, faster, enhanced human being. My family were all small in build. I knew I would be just as tiny if I didn't become a mage. The ruler killed my family, so I choose to become a better version of myself, in the hopes of one day being able to stand there, looking down at him as I dig a knife deep into his heart." Edda looked at Keon with a cold expression. He looked back at her. "In order to kill a monster, you have to become one yourself." She shook her head. "I will never be the monster that man is. His rule has no place for freedom, only submission." Steps were heard behind them as the left flank joined with Edda's group. They had no clue if there were more of the ruler's soldiers on the way, or what the next camp would look once they got there. Edda kept her eyes focused on the road ahead. The ruler really seemed to have intensified his hunt for the mages. Had he started to take them as a threat to his own rule? The worried lieutenant looked at the joining officers. They hadn't gone back to help the right flank either. He looked back. Still no sign of Atle or any of the other officers. Ossian's eyes wandered and locked on Aino. Their creator, the one worth more than all of those officers' lives back there. He felt the anger brew inside of him. No, their creator's life was not above theirs. He had not studied hard to become a doctor and an officer, only to abandon those who needed him the most in the field. He remembered Nila's determination. The general's orders had been so clear. Their creator was to be found, and with that a new era would start. 2 armies joined as one for a common cause. Yet their creator was nothing like what Ossian had expected. There was nothing about her that made her stand out. Besides the general, their creator just ignored most of the officers, seemingly having no interest to get to know the mages she herself had created. Aino felt the rise of anger in the lieutenant. She turned her head and looked right into his eyes. Even though looking at him would give the impression of a man trying to blend in with the rest, she could feel how different he really was. He held no hope, only fear towards her. Maybe he had an unhealthy distrust for everyone, but in this case it was justified. She was not their savior, nor their god. She was here to take back what was rightfully hers, not dance off their pipe. If the lieutenant didn't like her now, he would probably hate her after all of this was over. Her blood, it wasn't theirs to toy with anymore. Ossian felt Aino's eyes pierce right through him. So much of their creator was unknown. Her powers, her past, they barely knew anything. Her body seemed frail, having to be carried so that she didn't faint. Yet her mind, the way she talked, reflected none of that. What was she hiding? Was she just a sham? Or did a terrifying power lay behind it all? Aino scared Ossian the more he looked at her. Was this all a charade? Was she just playing with them?